new infant sheet.
Okay, so the way that the handout packet is set up, there are 6 potential characters that you can write about, and there are 5 inferences each. And the reason for that is because we're going to have 10 nights of reading, and then you're going to do 3 inferences each night. So that's how you get the 30 inferences total. Okay? So the reason the first 4 are picked, because those are among the first 4 of the characters that show up in the novel. Okay? So my goal is for you to do 3 each night, and that's why I told you to be careful about the characters that you pick for the 2 blank pages.
Yeah.
Okay? But what I will say is I'm going to start, this is only our 3rd night of reading, so we're only up to 3 inferences, or I mean we're only up to 9 inferences. What?
I did it wrong.
How many inferences do you have?
Okay, hold on. How many do you have?
I have 16.
Well, so this is our 3rd night of reading, so you will end up with 9 inferences after that.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
I'm just saying, I messed up on the thing because I thought those 2 extra things were separate ones, and I thought we were doing about like 9 characters. The ones in the
No,
back.
there's only 6 characters total. That's why it
Yeah.
says the same character's name
I
up
did
at
that
the
wrong.
top. Okay, so at a certain point, I'm going to give you 1 extra night where you can go back and revise your inferences. Okay, as we start to go forward, it may be difficult to find inferences about the characters that you've chosen. So we're not that far in. If you want to make a change now, that would be a good thing to do. Or you could try and make up inferences another night. Like maybe you can only find 2 tonight, so you decide to do 4 tomorrow night. Does that make sense? Okay, but I don't want you to end up falling behind. That's why I'm trying to have you aim for 3 each night. Okay? But the important part is that you end up with I don't want to see anybody changing the charts so that they have a couple inferences about one character, a couple inferences about another character. Okay? You should have a solid base for what, even if you're not focusing on all 11 characters, which you're not, you should have a solid base for at least a couple of them. Yeah?
Do like 4 one night and 2 the next.
Sure, as long as you can keep track of that and that doesn't end up snowballing into a lot of extra work for you. Yeah, Lars?
So, like, for Harvey and Viola, should we do, like, the same sheet for them?
You can do 2, I mean, if you haven't filled in the character sheets, I would think of them as separate, because what we're going to talk about today is partly about how their views are pretty different. So even though the entries for them are mostly a conversation between the 2 of them, I would say I would treat them pretty differently because their perspectives are pretty different. Okay? So guys, let's just get into our conversation for today. If you have particular questions about your packet, I'd be happy to answer those after we finish up the discussion, okay? There's a lot of stuff I want to get through today because I do want to tell you about some historical things that I think will help you understand what's going on in the book so far. Okay, so I would take out your book so you have it as a reference and take out your packet so that you can reference that too. And also, just because you don't, as you're reading, you can record inferences about any character that you want. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to make it into your packet, but those types of things that you notice are good to share in class discussion. So just make a little marker, underline something that you think is interesting.
Are we going to finish this book, like, yeah, I know.
Well, we're about 20% into it so far. It's not that long of a book.
See, this is what I did wrong. I did this, then the other page, I did someone different.
Okay, Joshua. So like I said, I will help you with yours individually at the end, okay? But I don't want to take up everybody's time from yours. Okay? So, let's talk about the characters that we met in last night's reading, because we met a significant number of new characters. I want to get their names down and talk about what our feelings are on them. Okay? So, who can name for me some of the new characters that we've come across? Reagan.
Harvey and Viola Petito.
Okay, we have Harvey, Viola. Okay, they're married.
Before this, I wanted to do as a reference in my packet, but I didn't have any extra space.
Okay, so like I just said earlier, Quinn,
Yeah.
if you have a question about your individual packet, I would be happy to help you after class.
Yep.
Okay? Just because I don't want to spend everybody's time just on your question, but we can definitely talk about it. Okay? What other characters? Yeah.
Like the Fitzgerald Flit.
Fitzgerald Flit, and what does he do in town?
He's a doc.
He's the doctor. Okay, what do Harvey and Viola do?
Restaurant.
They own
No,
a
they're
store.
a shop.
They're shopkeepers.
What is store on it?
Okay. Who else?
Wait.
Maya? Iris Weaver.
Oh.
What's a rum runner?
I will get to that. Give me just 1 second. Anybody else that's new? Josh?
His name is Raynard Alexander.
Raynard Alexander.
Rum runner has one who like makes beers. I can do everything.
Okay, and Joshua, what does Raynard do?
He,
Newspaper.
yeah, I think he's the big newspaper guy.
Newspaper editor. Okay. All right, and Iris Weaver has a restaurant,
He's jealous.
and she is a rum runner. Okay, so let's start off with Iris Weaver, because, like I said, we've done a lot of background information on the Ku Klux Klan, right, and sort of why they started to emerge with more power during this period of time. Okay, but there was a lot of other important historical events that were going on in the 1920s that sort of contributed to the overall atmosphere. Okay, so a couple of the things that I want to talk to you about are Prohibition, and women's suffrage. Does anybody know what Prohibition was? Jack.
There was a time where alcohol was banned.
Correct. So there was a period of time in the United States where alcohol was against the law. It was illegal to produce it or drink it or sell it. Okay? So how do you think that went over? Grace.
Not too well because a lot of people like to drink alcohol.
Not too well because a lot of people enjoy drinking alcohol, right? And it's not a bad thing to do as long as you're responsible. Anna?
It might have made like some people like mad, so maybe that just made them want to have it anyway.
Okay. Yeah, think about it when your parents tell you you can't do something. Especially if it's something that you already did in the past. Do we need to stop to? Okay. Bella?
Yep.
Okay. Think about if you did something in the past and all of a sudden your parents say, no, you can't do that anymore.
Like eat.
Do you just accept it?
Oh,
and-
no. I protest.
Was eating and
Okay, we're talking
Yeah,
about...
I'm gonna protest.
Candy
about
run
it.
away.
Okay.
it's like
Okay.
something that
No.
you like but you don't
So a
like.
privilege. Say, for example, you reach a certain age and you get a privilege at home. And all of a sudden your parents are like, actually, you know what, I don't think this is a good idea. You're not allowed to do that.
Phone. Candy.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Let's take your phone. Okay?
Okay,
Okay, so you get a phone. Guys,
Your favorite book.
stay with me. Okay? Say you get your phone at age 12, right? You use it for a little while, and then all of a sudden your parents are like, you know what, we've decided that your phone is too distracting. You could get into trouble on the internet. You don't get to have it anymore.
That would be terrible.
I wouldn't really care.
I would
I only use my phone.
Okay. Yes, Maya, go ahead.
Yeah, I never use it.
Excuse me. I can't hear her, and she's right in front of me.
So last night, like our old neighbor, like she's 2 years old, and we were playing dolls, and so I was like, okay, don't make them in the kitchen, because I'm gonna make a surprise. And then she like looked in there, so it's kind of like if you tell somebody not to do it, they may not want to do it anymore.
Exactly. Okay? And the number one reason we can tell that this didn't go over well is because alcohol is not illegal now. Right?
Yeah.
This was only a particular time period in history where alcohol was illegal. Okay? And the concept that we're going to be thinking about over in the next couple of days is, and I'm just going to put it up here, is legalizing morality. Okay? Which is when the government tries to step in and make laws about things that are sort of more of a moral decision, right? Okay, so just keep this in the back of your mind. So, the reaction to Prohibition, some people stopped drinking alcohol and others just found ways to be more sneaky about doing it.
So,
Okay, has anybody ever heard of something called a speakeasy? Have you heard that term before? Okay, so a speakeasy was kind of like an underground secret bar or club where you could go up and have sort of like a right? A secret knock or sort of a secret handshake or secret information. Okay, and you could get in, and it was a party that was sort of held mysteriously so that police could not get in and sort of raid everyone and arrest them, because that's what would happen. Okay, so Iris Weaver is a rum runner. Okay, so she has a restaurant, she serves food, okay, but she's also a rum runner. Okay, let's take a look at her entry.
Oh, rum runner.
Okay, so this is on page 19. Okay, so would anybody want to volunteer to read the first 3 paragraphs here? All right, Margot, go ahead.
Wait, so just like the 3?
The first 3, yeah.
Okay. Some girls I know have gone out in the world, but most have married, settled down to children and housework. I'm different. I have this restaurant. I have a secret life too. A life the law is forever dodging me over. I run booze. I know every foot of ground between Boston and Montreal. Right?
Mhm.
Okay. I could walk the distance blindfolded. I know the names of the customs officers, American and Canadian, where they're stationed, what shift they're on, and tough ones, and ones who can't resist a pretty leg or slice of apple pie.
Okay, so what does Iris Weaver do? Lars.
She smuggles the rum across the borders.
She smuggles alcohol from Canada to her restaurant. Why do you think that she does that? Tom.
Because people like Maya said that like if people say if someone says like don't do this, they really tempt them to do it. So she'll get a lot of business.
She's gonna get a lot of business and she's gonna earn a lot of money. Yes.
So, yeah, I was gonna say they'll be willing to pay more for it because it's harder to get.
Exactly. Okay, and even today, alcohol is sort of a big money maker for restaurants. Restaurants can make a lot more money off of alcohol sales than they can off of food.
How come?
Okay.
Because people like go in, like some people just go and have like a drink and then go, but people don't go in to just have food and then.
It more has to do with the quantity, right? Like if you have a big plate of food for $10, right, that's a full meal. But if you just have a glass of alcohol, that costs about $10, and it's just one small glass. So they can make just a lot. It's just based on the
How
quantity.
big is a glass? Like a bottle or like?
No, like a regular glass.
A
Oh,
bottle,
glass?
like,
Oh, that was-
like, if you have a good bottle of wine, you would probably pay something like $50.
Exactly, and wine and sort of
Yeah,
very
and
nice
you have
alcohol
really-
is very expensive. Okay, the point is, all right. Here's what I want to know. What do you think about Iris Weaver? Okay, because she's just admitted to us, the reader, that she breaks the law regularly. Okay, how do we feel about her? Do we think she's a good person? Do we think she's a bad person? What inferences can we make about her, even if you didn't put it in your packet? Yeah, Tobias.
One thing, the KKK did not like people drinking alcohol at all.
Okay.
So that would kind of make her a good person, because then obviously she isn't the KKK.
Okay, well, so you're right. It's not necessarily is she a good person for that, but you're right that she is probably against. She's not someone who would want to be joining the Ku Klux Klan, at least for that particular reason. So at least we can hold that, we can say that for her, that she's probably not involved. Charlie?
She's a troublemaker, but she's brave.
Okay, she's a troublemaker, but she's brave. Okay, Joshua?
So I guess like a word that would kind of go with Charles would be like rebellious.
Rebellious.
Yes.
All right.
What does that mean? So you're rebelling against
Like a
something.
rebellion.
Like you're
Or
a rebel.
rebel. You know Star Wars word rebellion.
We
Or
used to be
rebels.
rebels.
So a rebel is somebody who goes against
It's all
the
Stadium
Yeah,
Rebel.
I know it.
No, it's a song.
Guys. Okay. Another thing that I want to point out to you, okay, and this is brought up by the other of Iris Weaver's entries that we heard from last night's reading, okay, which is on page 28, okay? She says,
Oh yeah, right.
well, how do you like that? Down in Texas, Mrs. Miriam Ferguson, the wife of the impeached governor, defeated the Klan candidate by 80,000 votes to win the Democratic nomination for her state. If she wins, she'll be the first woman governor in this whole damn country. Imagine. Now, does anybody know what this means? What women's suffrage means? Anybody know something really important that happened in 1920 in this country?
No.
Grace?
Women's rights.
Women's rights, but what specific right?
Like, oh.
Bella?
Run for office?
Not exactly. Magda? No. Margot?
Wait to work.
No. Tobias?
To vote.
The right to vote.
I died.
I was gonna say that, and then it was like. To run for office.
Jeff doubted, but
So, listen up. 1920. 100 years ago, I would not have the right to vote.
That's not right.
Not
Me
right.
neither.
Okay? Now, if you don't have the right to vote,
We don't have it. We don't.
excuse me. If you don't have the right to vote, what does that also probably mean?
Oh.
Lars?
That you couldn't run either.
You can't really run for office. How could you be in charge if you don't even get to have a say on what the laws are?
Silly.
Okay? So, Iris Weaver runs her own business. She's not married and she doesn't have children. What does that tell us about her if it's this period of time? Maya.
I isn't even maybe kind of on like that, but she seems like a little bit like jealous because she kind of like is like trying to get money like by like sweeping like things and stuff, and then she is like getting her own Nancy and stuff, so maybe she was like envious of her.
Envious of who?
Like if this Mrs. Miriam Ferguson like just like kind of regrets like I don't know, kind of like, I don't know.
I wouldn't necessarily say she's jealous. In fact, to me, it seems like she's excited. Right? Imagine a woman in charge,
Oh yeah.
a female governor. And not only a female governor, but she defeated the candidate that supported the Ku Klux Klan.
Oh, that's.
Okay? So, most of the women in this time period, right, if we look back at the front, Iris is 30. Okay? Most women in this time period would have been married with children. Okay? They don't get a say in the government. Okay? So, what can we say about Iris Weaver based on all of this information that we have about her? Yeah.
She's independent.
She's really independent. Okay? Right? And that's very important.
I made that inference too.
She has her own jobs, her own multiple sources of money. Okay? And she's not depending on a husband to provide for her. She's doing it herself. Okay? Let's talk more about these other characters, okay, before we get too far in. Okay? So, let's talk about Harvey and Viola.
Oh yeah.
I like the young
Okay? Let's take a look at their entries.
Holly.
Have. Be and have.
Have. I gotta have.
Guys,
I gotta have.
This one.
yes.
Why aren't there any capital letters in this one?
That's what I was.
Why do you think?
Because
Wait, I want to see if I can find a capital letter.
voice.
Except for capital
Maybe.
letters. Because it said there was really bad at editing.
It's not because the editor was really bad about editing the book. Keep that in mind, Bella. It's not something we necessarily need to cover right now, but it is something that's important. All right.
There are capital letters in this book, but just not really like in the story itself.
All right, guys. Take a look at page 24 and 25. Okay? We have a conversation between Harvey and Viola. Harvey says, "The Ku Klux Klan are hereby. There's not a thing to stop them. We might as well join them. Why not? They're not low down like some folks say. They're good men, 100% American men, and they might bring us some business." Viola says, "In Texas, Harvey, those good men thought a certain fellow was keeping company with a married lady. They had no proof of hanky-panky, Harv. They beat him anyway, held a pistol to his head, and said they'd kill him if he didn't clear out. Harv, you don't want to join a group like that." But Harvey says, "That's just rumor. They have parades by, and picnics and speakers from all over. Wouldn't you like that, picnics and speakers?" Viola washes up the dinner dishes, her hands gloved in soapy water. They do good, Vi. They take care of their women. And liquor can't ever tear up a family with them around. Harvey examines a spot on one of the glasses. Shouldn't we join, Vi? Viola shakes her head slowly back and forth. No, Harv, Viola says. I don't think we should. Yeah, Markham?
Well, I don't know how long this marriage is going on because
Okay, why?
it's like a big decision to join the Ku Klux Klan.
Guys, we really need to cut the side talking in the corner. It's really hard to hear what people have to say, and you should be paying attention too.
It's like a really like big decision to join like a group that like kills people. 'Cause, like,
Yeah, a group
and-
that's as violent as they seem to be.
Yeah. And like I don't know, like sometimes like people like don't really want to be around people who do that.
Why does Harvey seem to think it's a good idea to join the Ku Klux Klan, or at least what are the reasons that he's sharing so far? Ryan?
Well, he feels like they're good people because they're 100% American.
What else, Anna?
He's kind of like, they're different because they're both saying things that are true. Like, Viola's talking about like the bad things they've done, but he's talking about, but they do have picnics. Yeah, that's true, but they almost killed a person. But they also have parades.
Right.
So he's kind of drawn into like the like togetherness of it, like the family.
He's focusing on, you're right, on sort of belonging to a particular organization that maybe pushes forwards values that he thinks. What's his other sort of more manipulative reason?
He wants business in his store.
He wants business in his store.
Yeah, because
And he thinks, yeah, Charlie?
he says like the Viola says like if that's the case, then everybody would stop shopping in our stores, and then he said the people in the Klan will come and shop at us.
Yeah, so he really wants to align himself with the Ku Klux Klan because he thinks that those people will come and shop at his store, and people who also agree with the Ku Klux Klan but are not necessarily in the organization will come stop at his store or shop at his store.
I think he's also joining up most because he wants to get back at this store with a man named Bronson.
Yeah,
I think
he's a
apparently,
competitor.
yeah, it seems like they must have a long rivalry ever since they moved in. Ever since they moved in and had a shop.
So
It sounds like that.
it's their local competition. Okay, so let's move to Reynard Alexander because I want to talk a little bit about Fitzgerald Flint later. Who is Reynard Alexander, and what are our feelings on him so far? His entry is on page 26.
We had one, right?
Yeah.
Bella.
He's kind of like neutral, and he says that like he's gonna like stay neutral until like someone or something like tells him or like shows him that he shouldn't be neutral.
Why would it be really important for a newspaper editor to remain neutral? Because it seems like that's a huge priority of his. Lars?
Because if he's saying like, and the African Americans are right for all these reasons, then like everyone else wouldn't read his newspaper that didn't agree with that.
Okay, so on the one hand, he might be concerned with readership, right? Who's going to support his, a newspaper is a business, right? So how many readers he's going to reach and how many people are going to buy his paper, that might be part of it. What's another reason? Grace?
So he can get like the full story.
So you can get the full story. Yeah, Tobias?
Partly because if he says something to side with the Native Americans,
African Americans.
will be, the KKK will come for him.
He might also be concerned about his own safety
Yeah.
because he might be threatened by the KKK if he sides against them. Charlie?
Kind of what Toby said, like he can't side with one group because like African Americans would be mad at him, and since he's white, he can't just side with white because it's part of his job to stay neutral.
Okay, that's true. Anna?
It's like what he says and what he thinks is more public than other people. So like if you go like some other people like say Sarah Chikrin wants to side with somebody, she doesn't have to tell anybody. But it's important for him like if he wants to be unbiased, then he can. Also when you walk into a town, first thing sometimes you see is like a newspaper. I mean that's part of the character of the town, so he doesn't want to like relay false.
Exactly. So part of a responsibility, right, of a newspaper is to be unbiased, to just present the facts as they are, right? Because all of us need to get information about what's going on in the world, but you want to make sure that you're getting just plain information, and then that way you can make up your mind based on that. So let me give you an example. So say, has anybody here worked on like the school newspaper or on like a school publication? Okay, Anna. All right. So say Anna goes to the talent show this weekend, right? It's this weekend, okay? And okay, and say someone is performing that Anna just really doesn't like. Anna just really hates this one person. Oh, she's so annoying. Bella, okay. So Bella and Anna get in a fight, and Bella's performing. Okay. So Anna thinks, all right, I'm just gonna write a little article for the newspaper about how terrible Bella's performance was. It was just awful. I can't believe she would even put that on stage. Okay. Now, if other people read that, are they gonna think that Bella might have done a good job? No, not at all, right?
Bella was failed at talent show.
Okay, so the point is that newspapers, right, guys, newspapers, the media in general, have a lot of impact on the opinions that we make. And if newspapers or television media are biased, then that's going to influence the decisions that we make and how we think about things, okay? So there are a lot of reasons why Reynard might want to be neutral, but one of them is that sort of his professional duty in a way. Okay, so I am going to show you a couple of different things. But first I want to compare two entries. If we turn back to page 22 and 21, okay, let's start with page 22. We have Fitzgerald Flint, okay? He's the local doctor in town, okay? And he starts out his entry by talking about flappers. Does anybody know what a flapper is? Yeah.
Well, I was a flapper for Halloween.
Okay.
So like, well, I don't really. It's kind of hard to like explain. So like, they like a long time ago, women were expected to be like really like kind of proper. Like in Anne of Green Gables, you know how she always has to wear long skirts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so like they went to parties and they wore like regular dresses and like.
Exactly. So in the 1920s, right, women are gaining more rights. They're sort of gaining a little bit more freedom, more independence, okay? And a flapper was sort of, it wasn't any one particular group of people. It was kind of like a trend, like how there were hippies in the 1960s, okay? So a flapper is a word, it was kind of a fashionable young woman who sort of went out to parties and sort of rebelled against old-fashioned rules, okay? So Fitzgerald Flint is talking about flappers, right, and talking about maybe some flappers that they have in their town. And he says, the flapper is not the least bit alarming, nor a sign of a declining social standard. Though she drinks cocktails, that's alcohol, and shows an inordinate fondness for lipstick and the rouge pot. So even though she wears makeup, we have nothing to fear. I doctor these women, and I have seen over the last years a transformation in them. And when I see the opening of roses kept bud tight for so many years, it warms this aging soul. So how does he feel about women taking on a little bit more freedom or being a little bit less formal? Quinn.
He feels good and he thinks it warms his soul.
He thinks it's good for them. He thinks he's sort of, maybe proud is too strong of a word, but he thinks it's a good thing. Okay? So let's flip back one page and see what the good preacher Johnny Reeves has to say about women and flappers. Okay? Alright, you guys ready? Page 21. Have you seen the way the girls dance? Sinful, neighbors, sinful. These girls doing the unspeakable gyrations of Satan. Satan is the devil, if you didn't know. With each step, they unravel the moral fiber of our country. Their dancing is destroying the morals of America. They must be stopped, not by law, neighbor, not by legislation. This is no business of the government. It is up to us, neighbor. It is up to us to lock our daughters in until they learn to behave, until we destroy in them the wanton will of Satan.
I would never hang out with that guy. He's
Yes.
I mean,
that guy messed up.
Wanton means unrestrained. Wanton means unrestrained. So in them, there is the will of Satan, the will of the devil is inside them, and we must lock them up until they learn to behave. Yeah.
Yeah.
he's just being left to do things, but he just keeps rambling. That's all he's doing.
He does a lot of preaching, right? A lot of talking about what he thinks is wrong and right. Yeah.
In this paragraph, he's basically calling dancing a Satanist practice.
Yeah. If these women when they dance, they're portraying the devil. Okay. Guys. So, on the one hand it sounds a little bit funny. On the other hand, it's kind of serious. He thinks that these women should be locked up
Jail?
for dancing and wearing makeup.
Just in the house.
Oh, I
Now, I'm going to show you guys a couple of things. I'm going to show you some historical pictures, okay? So, over here on the left,
The one on the right kind of looks really
okay, so this is how women would have dressed kind of in the 1900s, like 1910s. Okay? This, guys, I really would like you to pay attention. Take a close look at these photos and notice some of the difference. These are flappers
young woman, right?
in the 1920s. So, what are some of the differences that you notice between how they dressed and also maybe the attitude that comes from this? Quinn.
So the people in the 1900s to 1910s, I think that they're wearing these hats and they have more dresses on, kind of a little more formal looking.
Okay.
And then the flappers on the right, they have like shorter skirts and they also have hats on, but their feet are up, so that means their dancing is a lot more like physical and more interesting.
Okay. So over here, right, they have these big hats. This one has a veil to cover her face, right? They have dresses all the way to the ground. Okay, they're pretty much completely covered. All right. Over here, the women are wearing skirts above the knee.
Oh my god!
Okay. They also have bare arms.
Sinful.
Okay.
It's the end of the world.
Bella.
The women in the 1900s looked like much more like proper and like formal, and like
That's what
in the
I said.
1920s they looked more like sassy and like
Sassy girl!
Derby
Like
dress.
my
Yeah.
Some of those
It looked like
The
dirty
people
fish.
on the left look like they're more willing to be like quiet and like sit and have tea, and the other ones look like they're willing to like judge you and like speak their mind.
Okay, more restrained maybe over here, right? These women are wearing makeup, they're wearing jewelry, okay? I want to show you a quick clip of the type of dancing that these people are talking about, okay? Wait, hold on. Okay, so I'm going to show you a quick clip of the type of dancing that was popular in the 1920s. This is the type of dancing that Johnny Reeves says is the dance of the devil. Okay? Now, this clip is from a movie that's set at the time period. So it's not an actual historical clip, but it gives the sense of kind of what.
Is it sped up like in the cartoons?
Yeah.
No, in cartoons like there's shortcuts and
Oh, that was sick.
I knew it.
So what they're doing right here is the Charleston. That's the sort of step forward and step back dance.
Modern day whip.
Yeah, trendy dance that was popular for a few years.
Actually, that would be
The guy.
Yeah, they're like.
Now look at this old man. Look how uncomfortable he is.
He's like, this looks like fun. Why are they
That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, just like shake.
Imagine if like Johnny
Charlie,
painted
This is
today.
the devil. This is the devil's dance.
Yeah, Charlie.
Oh yeah.
Miss
Come on,
Moore.
This
Charlie.
is ruining the morals of our country, Charlie.
Miss Moore, was this as popular as the Running Man? Is this as popular
Yes.
as the Running Man?
If you were to go out on a Saturday night or a Friday night with your friends, this is what you'd be doing.
I wish I was
Just keep going.
Look at her eyes.
She's just looking very coy and feminine by.
Look, they're impressed by it.
Not really. She's like,
Carrie, just look at her eyes.
Guys,
Yeah, I know who you call.
guys, look at her. She's shimmying her shoulders.
It eats at my shoe. That's not
They're
the
good
bad
dancers though.
There we are. You see that old man? He's like, I hate this. I hate it here. Someone just kill me.
Well,
You see her eyelashes? What is she doing?
She's blinking way too fast. She's like,
She blinks like I do.
She's stanky leg.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
No!
Yeah!
Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna stop us there because we're about out of time. Okay, hold on. Okay, you guys. So there are a couple things that we're gonna talk more about tomorrow. Okay, we're gonna talk more about this concept of legalizing morality, and we're also gonna talk more about prohibition. Okay, but I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, keep in mind how things sort of change over history, things that seem acceptable and then are not acceptable.
More.